And joining us right now, the president of baseball operations for the San Diego Padres and general manager. Get right to him. It is AJ Preller on this Friday on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, AJ.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Doing well. Now, this is the first time we've talked since Ben took a big dump on your trade deadline. So I hope maybe tensions have calmed down a little bit. How
I had a measured reaction is what I had.
Has he apologized?
Has he apologized yet,
No,
AJ? That's
no,
the
I
question.
No, I just left one Higgins for another.
Oh, did
you
you?
played with
Playing some
Sammy this
hoops?
morning? Yeah. It's funny how that always
just
seems to
left.
work out. I'm clearly
I just say I enjoy one of the Higgins brothers a little bit better than the other.
No, I'm sure you'd like
you
my
guys
dad.
So do we.
So do I.
You'd like my dad, my sister, my mother. You'd like them all better than me, AJ. I'm the least favorite member of the Higgins family for sure.
It's so good. Oh, it's
all
good.
right. I want to ask you a big picture question to start because I think this is kind of a tough one. Obviously, I know your team and your skipper and your players want to win every single game. You put yourself Fangraphs 99% chance to make the playoffs at this point. But with 15 games to go, how important is it to try to chase down the Cubs or the Dodgers in order to get a home playoff series versus maybe giving your guys some extra rest? We know JP Series is coming up to start today to give the arms an extra day in the rotation to make sure that you guys, whether the game is at home or on the road in the first series, are fresh and feeling as good as possible going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal when we started the year is you start off with winning the division and then getting in the playoffs. So I think from our standpoint, we were in a position here with 15 left that we have a chance to do both. In terms of in a pennant race for the division title, and then I think we'd love to host a game here at Petco. So, and be at Petco in front of our fans. We played really well this year. So, Schulte and the group, we're constantly talking about what that looks like. And we understand this, again, we're coming down the home stretch, but we've got a lot of players that are super motivated. They're going to be on the field. Everyone's playing a little banged up at this time of year. But in general, it's a fun time to be playing. Our guys feel that it's obviously what we set out for to start the season, and we're going to be looking to try to do everything we can here in the next 15 to win some games and put us in the best possible position to get to October and then hopefully win in October.
AJ, Manny Machado is my favorite baseball player, probably of all time. I have a lifetime friendship contract with him, meaning if he moves on from the San Diego Padres, we remain close friends. He's my guy. It's hard to watch him struggle. It is. It's just really hard when your favorite player is scuffling along. I admire so much his work ethic and the want to stay on the field every day. But the slump that he's currently in right now, I know you guys have talked to it. I know you probably talked to him. Yeah, honestly, how hard would it be to get Manny to say, you're right, I need a day. I'm going to reset and then just watch this game?
Yeah, I mean, again, like Manny loves to be in the lineup,
Yep.
and again, that's a huge part of your best guys wanting to be in the lineup for 162 games. I think Schulte, Manny, they've got a great relationship and a good feel for what he needs to do. Like any player, you're always going to get to a point where sometimes it's best to take a day, and again, I have a lot of trust in our group and coaching staff and Schulte and Manny to kind of figure out, hey, when is that time? And I know from that standpoint, it's there may be a time where you say, hey, it's important to get a day, but I also know Manny's he's out there yesterday at 2:00 early taking swings because he feels like there's a couple of things he wants to work on, and he gets that right. He's gonna be at the spot where he's been all year for us, which has obviously been a force in the middle of the lineup. So again, I think we have tons of confidence in Manny in terms of his ability to kind of judge where he's at. Does he need a day or not? I think more importantly, it's just getting himself into a spot mechanically and physically where he feels like he's, we have the player we're going to need here to win a championship. And again, I think, I have a lot of confidence and faith in Manny to get himself to that spot. You don't play as much as he plays and over the years at the level he's played without, knowing himself really well and understanding the game. And, I know he's going to make good decisions with our group about what that looks like in terms of the next couple of weeks.
AJ, that was an eye-opening performance by Randy Vasquez last night. And I know the Rockies, aren't good, but he would have been good against anyone last night, no doubt about it. The 9 strikeouts, something we really haven't seen from him. What do you envision Randy's role now, heading into October possibly, and now his long-term future here with the San Diego Padres?
Yeah, I think Randy the last couple of years, has kind of been unsung hero, amongst the pitching staff and for our group and our team. He made a lot of starts last year and put us in position to win ball games, and the same thing again this year. So, he's a young pitcher that's still developing, and you got to have patience with those guys. And I think he's seen an opportunity here now, with post trade deadline, and an opportunity here to step up into a starting rotation spot, and he's responded really well. And then honestly, not as much of a surprise or a shock, because he's kind of been that guy the last couple of years in terms of quietly taking the ball and giving us a chance to win every time he does it. I think it's been one of the much needed. We've talked about the starting rotation all year. We've withstood some injuries, some different things we've seen really dating back to last year with Joe and Michael and Darvish and some other things. And you want to be in a spot here where we get to October and we have starters we can rely on. Been a good week from that standpoint to see, what Pavetta did the other day against Cincy, and stepping up. He's been doing that all year, and kind of even taking it to a different level. Obviously, Michael King returning, Darvish, having a really strong outing the other night, and then, watching Randy yesterday. So I think it's, we'll weigh it all out here every day. Schulte, Ruben, they're talking about the rotation and what's the best way to do it, kind of balancing what you mentioned earlier. Giving an extra day rest here or there for the starters versus putting our best foot forward to win this division. And Randy stepping up is a nice piece of the equation for us, honestly.
Talking to AJ Preller here on Ben and Woods this morning. I had kind of a chicken and the egg scenario yesterday. We talked about the kind of the small ball that the team plays from time to time, a lot actually, like as far as bunting and sacrificing, about 50% more than other teams. And I wondered, I know you haven't scored as many runs as you would have liked. I know the fellas haven't scored as many runs as they would have liked. Is it a chicken or the egg thing? Are you not scoring runs because you play small ball, or are you playing small ball because you don't score a lot of runs? From your perspective as the GM, president of baseball ops, when you look at the identity of the San Diego Padres, is that something that you look at and say, we got to figure out a way to score more runs and maybe slug more? And how does that happen with 2 weeks left in the season?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, again, I think if you're going to win a World Series, you got to have a versatile offense that can do a lot. If you're going to be the best team in the world, and I think from our standpoint, we've talked a lot about having the ability to beat you any number of ways the last few years. I do think like playing at Petco, I think, again, there's places where you can hit the ball out of the park at Petco. What Petco doesn't do is it doesn't reward kind of the long fly ball, not well hit to the big part of the field. There's some other ballparks that we go around the league, and, right center, left center, dead center, you don't quite have to square it up, especially at nighttime like you do at Petco. And I think that plays to like what championship offense looks like, which is, the ability to put pressure on the other team, beat you a lot of different ways. I think for us at times this year, it's been the fact that, if we're struggling to score some runs, you want to try to find a way to get your offense going. I think statistically, we talk about it internally. When we run and hit, when we start runners, when we, get bunts down, when we steal bases, we've won a lot of games in the games that we've done those things together. And I think, Tatis has always said, hey, small ball leading to big ball. I think that's the goal. And I think at times you look at your personnel, we feel like we have a lineup now that should be able to do, a lot of everything. And, I think that's what we're going to try to do here in the last couple of weeks. And that's, if the game calls for it, you want to be able to, move a runner and execute, a fundamental baseball play that usually leads to runs, especially in October when they're hard to come by. And you want to be able to hit a home run, and I think that's what Vic and the group talks about all the time, and, what that looks like to put yourself in those positions. And we've done it at times this year. We probably haven't done it enough overall as an offense. And, if we're going to win, my guess is we're going to do it more consistently here these last couple of weeks and into October.
AJ Preller, last week in this time slot, we had a good conversation with your skipper about valuing defense. And we all agreed that defense is important in Major League Baseball. But I wanted to ask you, how do you evaluate defense? Because the eye test, the metrics that we see, things like outs above average and defensive runs saved, some will say that Manny Machado is not a very good defender. My eye test tells me he's one of the best. I know Mike Schilt talks about some of the internal metrics and how well Luis Ariz has played at first base. But how do you really balance all of that and determine who are your best defensive players?
Yeah, I mean it is. It's a combination of looking at some of the metrics that are out there publicly in terms of OAA and DRS, and our own internal system that we have that we look at. It's definitely an eye test component as well with our scouting front office and an R&D group. Again, I think the value of defense. It's always important to play defense. Any sport, defense. Having defensive players wins championships. We've talked a lot over the years about two-way players, and seeing guys like Tatis and Manny and others over the years having a team full of shortstops, Ha-Sung Kim and Crony and guys like that. Sometimes the metrics, I think that especially at first base, some of the first base defense over the years, we've seen Crony go over there, and I think internally we have him ranked evaluated as a plus defensive first baseman, and maybe the league or industry-wide metrics don't quite measure up there. But again, it's always a balance. Like the last few nights, Schulte's put Crony at short, Ariz at second. The good news, they played well defensively, and you also have to score. I mean, that's a huge part of the game is the offensive side. So, again, that's the ability to put a team that's complete on the field. I think you look at your personnel, at different times of the year, or as you go year to year. Sometimes you're going to be more of an offensive group. Sometimes you're going to be more of a defensive group. But if you're going to win, you need to have that balance and blend between the two, and that's what we're always searching for.
Well, good luck, obviously, these last couple of weeks of the season. So much still in play, and we're definitely hopeful and looking forward to a really fun October coming up for your ball squad. Thank you, AJ.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. Talk soon.
Thanks, AJ.